Hey, Brady. Call this committee of the whole meeting to order for June 17th, 2024. I'd like to recognize our Treaty 5 territory, traditional land of the Nation, Nation, homeland of the Métis, and we are all treaty people. Next, I'd like to approval of the agenda. Councilor Fitzpatrick. Councilor Oberdorfer, all in favor? Carried. Next, I'll go to community comments and feedback. Anthony?
Yeah, at the last meeting, there were some questions asked about increases in the budget to the waste disposal grounds and I believe the mechanical shops. Our CFO has looked into this. A number of the increases that were built in between budget to budget were for wages and benefits. There was an increase in insurance costs of 9%. There's an increased cost for certain tires and tubes. And there was increased operating and maintenance costs of 19%. There's also wages allocated for the mechanic shop as the vacancies have been filled. And then the associated CBA increases that are linked to those along with the benefits and health and insurance benefits that go staff. So that's what was found on that question.
Thank you. I'll go any more community comments and feedback.
Ron Matichuk, 20 Ash Street. I hope you can hear me. I'll try to be as clear as possible. Obviously, I haven't been because the answers are unsatisfactory every time. 2 weeks ago, I was here asking about the $300,000 that was voted on by this group to look at the design of the new aquatic center. You said you were going to have a look to see the scope of that resolution. Did you have a look?
I brought all that information back and explained multiple times what that money was spent.
Okay, no, you didn't. But anyways,
Excuse me, sir.
can you tell me what day that resolution was passed?
All that information will be attached on all that.
We can find it for you for the next meeting if that's required.
Okay, as for the questions that were asked at the pre-budget meeting, on line 4320, I asked about the garbage collection, which went up from 2023 to 2024 by $110,000. Can you tell me why that is?
That's what I just finished answering.
No, you didn't.
You
told me a bunch of stuff about the waste disposal grounds. I'm asking about the garbage collection. That's a truck that runs around emptying garbage cans.
So she just confirmed that that was the information for the garbage.
There's more than just picking up garbage, sir.
Yeah.
It has to be disposed of.
Okay, on the 5-year capital expenditure program, equipment purchases continue upward. You guys passed a resolution to get vehicles through enterprise. Should this not be bringing that number down instead of steady increases?
We're
There's an increase.
starting with the enterprise, and there is other machinery that is purchased, sir.
The CFO has a response.
Okay,
the enterprise is for the small suite, very small fleet vehicles. We still have the major vehicles, the graders and the equipment such as that to replace. So when I took a look at the 5-year capital, that's why it's the way it is.
So we're gonna keep increases, you people are gonna continue to spend as you do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, any other comments, community feedback? Third and final time, any more comments or community feedback? Thank you. Seeing none, we will now go into the report. 5.1 is the RCMP report. Dr. Michelle.
Evening, Mayor, Council. In our resourcing report here, we had one new member start on May 28th. We started their field training. The officer in charge position was posted and is closed, so we're waiting to hear where that's going to land. Last month, they interviewed for a municipal employee, and I believe that one is at the background checks. And then this month, I believe there's another one coming for an interview. For the crime trend reporting here, overall, from this time last year, we've had a decrease of in calls for service, whereas we've had 7,023 calls, whereas last year we've had 7,727. Overall, in the crime trending report here, we've seen an increase in theft, in shoplifting and fraud, a decrease in mischief, an increase in break and enter. Assault with weapon, and aggravated assault, we've had a decrease. Sexual assaults, we've had decreases. Drug possession, drug trafficking, this one is an increase, but please note that there is some proactive calls in that stat. Impaired driving, there's been a decrease here. Motor vehicle collisions, also a decrease. Public disorder, there's been an increase from last year. Mental health calls for service has been a decrease. Prisoners, we've had a slight decrease, but not by a terrible amount. Our community relations officers here have done quite a bit of work last month. They attended a trade show and did some bike safety, water safety, and also some set dead information to the public. They assisted some street reach for missing youth. Breakfast program at Juniper School, the Happy Days they've attended for funds for the Lone House. Job fair they attended for R.D. Parker. Knights of Columbus, they attended the track and field event as did I, and handed out medals. Vehicle stops and performs. They met with Chief Malloy here and did some fire hazard presentations at the schools here for some arson prevention. And they attended the Juniper Center here for a barbecue and community function. We presented on cyberbullying, sexting, and other presentations as such at Wampanoag. They attended the Birdwood breakfast program. And they also did the drug busters goggles at Wampanoag School. And they attended the Norman Regional Health Authority health fair on their campus, and they presented on biker safety. Some of the proactive initiatives here for last month of offender management and crime reduction. 9 curfew checks were on some prolific offenders. Outstanding arrest warrants were executed on 5 high-risk offenders. There was a controlled drugs and substances act search warrant / traffic stop where there was cocaine and loaded handguns. And that's about it. Any questions we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Administration, any question? Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Thanks, Mayor Smook. Thanks for the report. I'm hoping you can hear me okay, but I do have some quite a few questions or comments. Some of them being that I'm currently touring right now, AMM, all the districts, and one of the number one things we're hearing is about RCMP and public safety. And the Minister of Justice and his department is actually touring with us these days. So first off, when I see our detachment, when you have the vacancies, so when you have the A, B, and C watch, so C watch looks like it's short 3 constables. So do we balance out the other watches because of those vacancies? So we have the same amount of RCMP working at the same time? Or does
Yeah.
that C watch just run short?
No, Sea-Watch doesn't run short. That's more so for an alignment for a reporting system for who their supervisor is. If we have to balance out the schedule here, we have an admin sergeant that's currently looking after that. And he balances the lines, so we have optimal amount of members for shifts. And if we can't do that with just the normal rearranging of shifts, then we do have to make the call for overtime every so often, and overtime sign up sheet.
Okay, and another one I have for you is, so the drug unit, when we see the increase of the 37.9%, that's actually like good work and proactive work and drug seizures, is that correct?
They're not all those would be all proactive, but I would just wanted to point out that some of that is proactive work. It's not all just a call for service. It would be our GIS team or members initiating investigations into drug investigations.
Okay, and then the offender management page and the crime reduction, does that include our GIS unit that we have?
Yeah, so the offender management is for the whole detachment. So basically how it's run, we have offenders that are identified by the GIS team, and they task each member should have a few offenders that they're able to check. And they'll review their conditions and check those persons periodically.
Okay, so I think that for the city of Thompson, like we really aren't as short as what I'm hearing in other communities, and a lot of communities want to have these kind of units, or the GIS and these drug units. So I think that we're fortunate that we do have that. I'm wondering if, for the public's knowledge, if we can just explain the support that will be in the community for this weekend for Nickel Days, because it is this weekend. And I know that you did report that in the past, but I think for the comfort of our community, if we can hear the level of RCMP and our CSOs and everything that will be having a presence this weekend, would be great if you could comment on that.
Deputy Mayor, to my knowledge, the CSOs have modified their schedule, and they're working from noon to midnight, I believe, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have additional resources coming from outside the detachment to the North District traffic. And then we're going to have the North District Police Dog Services in town. And we also have made arrangements within the detachments to have extra members on shift. All of my GIS members will be working an evening shift here into the early morning, all 3 nights of the Nickel Days. So we do have additional members on staff.
Awesome, I appreciate that. And just the last thing, that for the June 30th, so I guess July, or maybe even in August, I guess, could council have the amount of hours and members for the first half of the year that are sitting at the Thompson General Hospital? We have gotten some resolutions now on the table about the institutionalized safety officers. So if we could have that data, I guess would be your August report, that'd be appreciated. And thank you very much for everything. Appreciate it.
Just to clarify, Deputy Mayor, you want time at the hospital for the members? That's what you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, we're pushing for the ISOs, we're continually doing that, so if we can get some backing information, it always comes in handy.
Yes, Mayor, I can do that.
Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the report. I would like to ask you the same question that I asked the chief about. When you get called, you probably know where to call and where to attend. So I would like to know the data for the healing center. The healing center.
Okay.
How many calls you get per week or per month, whatever the data you can collect it. So hopefully the next report we can have that particular look. Because I always, when I drive, I always see a car pass sitting there, so I was just wondering. Is it will take out a lot of resources from. Yeah, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McCartney.
Thank you for your. The issue I have is, when Walmart is open at 7 a.m. There's people lining up to go buy mouthwash, like. There. Any way that their police presence can maybe kind of scare them, you know what I mean? It's just that, and they sell it to them, and it's not right. And it's like, I'm standing out there too, shooting people away or something like that, but it's still them, they're lighting up at 7 a.m. and they say go to till 3.
For the Listerine and mouthwash at Walmart, we have been in discussion with that, and I can have a sidebar at some point. You know, there's all that. It's not quite as simple as just playing tickets or charges here. We have been exploring that as a
I understand that, and the other part, like I've been emailing Walmart Canada, I don't deal with cops here, then I keep sending them pictures and everything of their sales personnel that are selling to these people, but thank you for your. That's all we get. But it's still, and that's what I said, it's where your presence is scared of people a lot, they do. I'm not sure they're scared, but they respect, I guess, you're so free ways of doing it, and your presence there clears. Putting black pepper and dish soap and they're gone, you know, that's the way it is, when you guys are there.
For the summer months, we can push to increase the numbers to do more patrols there, but it all depends on calls for service as well. Right?
Yeah, I know it's gonna be crazy this week. Thank you.
Councilor Overdose.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your report. I just had some questions about the theft and break and enter. I noticed there's an increase compared to last year for those 2 items. I guess more specifically the theft. Are you finding that that's more related to shoplifting versus theft like from vehicles or fraud, like that type of thing? Do you know?
That I'd have to get back to you on. I wouldn't have that example.
And then I guess kind of the same question related to breaking and entering, like, is that more related to residential or businesses?
That's gathered for all 3 of those. So again, if you want specifics, we can break that off.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I know, like, of course, people like to put everything on social media, right? So you see a lot of complaints around shoplifting and things like that. So I'm curious if shoplifting has increased, I guess, or if a major portion of that percentage is because of shoplifting, or if we're also having theft in residential neighborhoods, that type of thing, increasing as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much for your report. Appreciate it. We'll move on to 5.2 public safety report.
Just to add, this weekend, the CSOs will be working 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. Straight through the entire weekend. And we've had discussions with the Ball Variety Center, so they have 1 or 2 vans that are going to be driving around the community as well, and picking up people that live at the Ball Variety Center and bringing them back. So we haven't had that last year, so we're hoping that that's going to help with our downtown numbers this year. We currently have we have 4 positions and 2 vacant CSO positions. We have done the interviews. Unfortunately, we can't bring everybody on board yet because of the training doesn't take place until September. We have offered to bring them on board just to teach them the bylaw section of it until we're able to go to the training in September. So we're just waiting to hear back from one of the individuals, and the other one is just finishing up some requisites. So we're hoping that October we'll have October, November we'll have all 4 positions built. We've replaced one of the back seats in the current CSO cars. they're gonna be able to use that for a short period of time. It's still pretty smelly, but, they said they're gonna try to use it, removing the seed to take a big portion of the smell and stuff that was in there, but it's still in the floors and the wood and stuff, so, we're hoping that having the vehicle on the road this weekend will help. They are continuing to do their foot and bike patrols, during their patrols, they're still issuing, any parking infractions. They're still dealing with, bottles, people are drinking the local lake public. So they made 82 bottles that they poured a day. They're moving people along, so they have 322 people that can move along. If there are people that need to be, brought to the RCMP, they call the RCMP to pick them up. Because they can't transport them. We just put the vehicle last week. So for taxis, we've had just one request in the RCMP to download video. Our bylaw section, we're still continuing to do property standards, focusing on a lot of the issues that we have with derelict vehicles and just garbage on properties. We've had several derelict vehicles in the community. The individuals trying to put a solution for them. Those that are not complying, then they are towed at the owner's expense. We've also had one property that was tagged a couple times. The inspectors unfortunately not able to work things out with the individual to get the items cleaned up. So Public Works Department had to go in and clean up their property, and those costs were going to be placed onto the owner of the residence. Our animal control officer did take part in an interview on Thompson today with CHTM. This is going to be a regular recurring thing that we're going to have in that department. For May month, we had about 14 citizen complaints, 4 dogs were counted, 5 were found running at large. Fortunately, I did check the numbers for animals licensed to put in here. I would have that for my next report. For the bylaw, we've had still littering. There's 3 littering. There's still a lot of people still pretty bad. 22. And individuals still parking on the street on garbage day. Those numbers pretty much seem to be consistent. So we had 27 last month and 22 this month. Handicap parking, we issued 25 tickets this month for handicap parking. And then citizen complaints, just phone calls where we're not issuing tickets. There's about 22 of those. And 4 tickets that are other than 4 tickets that are screening on the street. That's my report.
I just have a question on our licensing of dogs today. So do we have 182 total dogs, or was that what was licensed in April? We got 446 dogs licensed.
That would have been total to date. So it was one.
I was just wondering, because above dogs at large was 2531, you know, by the month. So 182 of all the dogs we haven't had this all this.
I'm sure it's gone up just a little bit, but not much. Unfortunately, I didn't have the numbers for May.
Thank you. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Thank you, Mayor Smook. Thank you, Director, for the report. So the interviews for the 2 vacant CSO positions, does that mean that we would have 4 CSOs, or is that just to get us to 2 CSOs?
That would give us 4 CSOs in total.
Okay, that's fantastic. So in some of these discussions, we're still looked upon, and the province is using the city of Thompson with their CSO program. And I also think that there's some encouraging discussions on the training becoming regional instead of municipalities, us having to pay to send this training to Brandon. So I'm encouraged with some conversations that have taken place on that this week. And my second comment is, and also to the RCMP report, are we communicating these extra CSO hours and RCMP? I assume that we are in communication with the Nickel Days Committee, so everybody's on the same page on the influx of people in our community this weekend and at the Nickel Days site. That's it for me. Thanks.
Tanya?
Yeah, we have had meetings with the Nickel Days Committee and they were told that there was extra people around. The Nickel Days Committee as well as I believe doubled the amount of security that we have on site as well.
But just add the Nickel Days Committee has said they'll have people on security at any given time. They'll be searching all bags going into Nickel Days, so people should be aware of that. And there will be no bags allowed at the social on the Saturday night, so just basically your clutch purse or whatever, There's nothing big allowed in. Okay, any other, Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe I addressed my concern about last report regarding the left behind pallet on crane. Have you taken care of that yet?
I did send a message to the individual and I have not received a reply yet.
Any plan for next step?
And I keep trying to get a hold of them. I wasn't a part of the plan for them setting that up, so I'm just gonna see if there's another contact person that might have been involved in that, or research that person, because I think there's a few people who are involved in it.
Councillor Chong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your report, Director. I remember I asked you a question about the CSO car that parked down there for a while. And you mentioned to me something about the car seat. Now you replace on the seat. So maybe that's this part of the solution. But what happened? You get a new car or a new vehicle? Do you have a solution to take care of that so it can last for a little bit longer time? Like I wonder how the RCMP take care of the back seat. Do they have a special kind of seat that you can pressure wash?
Our seats are generally modified. They're either leather or some type of vinyl that are easily cleaned. Or better to be cleaned, and our flooring is also has some like plastic vinyl, so it could be washed quite regularly if there's any kind of bodily fluids and it's more
Experience. So I'm going to
Yeah.
get the same kind of vehicle as the RCMP or?
I would love to have an RCMP vehicle for us to use because we know that that works, but we actually, the vehicles right now are still down in Winnipeg. Once this department that they're at right now, finishes installing all the bars and everything, we have another company that we're gonna be taking the vehicle to. And we're going to be taking out and replacing the seat with something that's leather, and the same thing with the flooring and the doors, because the doors have cloth as well, so that's all gonna be taken off, so there should be no cloth. And we're really hopeful that we won't run into the same situation that we have right now.
Yeah.
And regarding the CSO card, yes, we did take the seat out. Unfortunately, the fluids got into more than just the seat. So it does take that out, some of the stuff, but it didn't take everything out. So the CSOs, the smell is still there and it's still strong, but not as strong as it was before. So as the weather gets nicer and the heat hits the vehicle, it's not a very pleasant vehicle to drive in.
I understand it's very difficult for the people seeing the car the other day with the window closed during the winter time. Yeah. So thanks. Thank you.
Anyone else? Comments on this report? Thank you, Sonia, for your report. Seeing none, 5.3, council parent emergency report. Steve?
Hi, good evening. I just for noteworthy purposes, I noticed that the station report wasn't attached. To the part annex monthly responses. I do have a hard copy here, so I can read it out after I give the briefing of the monthly report. So a couple of things before we move into the report has been brought to us by finance. There was a question raised late last week with respect to the inspection prevention component of the report. And for 42 inspections, there was fines. According to the report levied from our office for 42,665. That in fact is a typo. It's a mistake. There was no fines issued, so just for clarification purposes. And also towards the end, there was also another question with respect to the revenue on the fire pit inspections and special permits that were issued. There happens to be a discrepancy with our numbers downstairs versus the finance department upstairs. I requested a copy of the numbers on Friday, and unfortunately I never had time to report. For that, I do apologize. Other than that, for the fire responses for the month of May, we had 49 fire responses. Year to date was 211. And year to date in 2023 was 186. So we have an increase of 13.4% overall on the fire responses. Ambulance calls for the month, busy month, we had 766 calls. Year to date, we have 3,511 calls. As opposed to 3,498 in May of 2023, so virtually little to no change. For the inspections and preventions, you'll note that for the third month, we have a 22, so myself and my deputy made it compulsory to get out and get some of the major occupancies inspected and whatnot, so there's an uptake of 42. So year to date was 61 versus 11 year to date in 2023. Fire pit inspections and permits, new, we had 21, renewals with 32. Year to date was 19 versus renewals of 59 over this time last year of 12 and 58 respectively. If there's any questions concerning that report, if so, I can move into the hard copy for the station report again. If not, I can save this for.
Any questions at this point? Okay, seeing none, we'll into your other reports.
All right, so station report, again, we had a new hire start on June 10. With Thompson Fire Emergency Services, our current vacancy right now, we're sitting at 400 vacancies. The renovation of the kitchen and fire hall is basically completed, so quite a transformation. All members of the department are very appreciative of this, so thank you once again for finding the funds to contribute to such renovation. Tenant Management Association of Fire Chiefs Conference last week with retired Chief John Mascarini here in Burton on June 6th and 8th. We had some great keynote speakers, notably the Deputy Fire Chief of Caribbean, who spoke about the horrific accident on the Trans-Canada Highway on the Elders, the bus versus the semi. And also we took in Jeff Irwin, who's from the Office of Fire Commissioner. He's a wildland fire specialist for the province, who spoke about the fire in Cranberry. The behavior of this fire is something he has not seen personally encountered in Manitoba. This fire spread was about 180 feet a minute, primarily due to severe drought conditions and high winds in the area. Mental health continues to be the message from the majority of the departments in Manitoba. So again, thank you, Oak Lake Mutual Aid District, for hosting. And this past Friday, of course, guest speaker on behalf of Thompson Senior Communities Resource Council for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day on June 14th at the Mount Wooton Friendship Center. That's my report. If there's any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Councilor Oberdorfer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your report, both of your reports. I just had a question about the increase in fire responses, because 13% seems really high. Is that an increase like in serious fires, brush fires? Is it like vandalism? What type of increases are you seeing?
The increase is due to, we had an uptake of fire responses late last month in the Eastwood area. We've had multiple responsibles basically to the same location in this. We had 3 fire calls in one day in the span of 14 hours. And what's happening, quite frankly, is we have some young offenders that are running around and just deliberately catching household consumables and garbage on fire that's outside being ready to take to our waste disposal grounds. We've had 9 calls for those areas and whatnot. So that's why you see the increased spike for this fire responses.
Thank you.
Councilor Wall?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the report, Chief. Following, you still collecting the data about the alcohol related? Because I didn't see it this time. And also, last time you did give us a report regarding the healing center, 100% that caused the call. Is that you still doing that? Sure, what was that? About the healing center. You did give us a statistic, 100% that
Yes.
cost. So we're still doing that as
We're
well.
still collecting those numbers, but those numbers have dropped dramatically since the snow has melted and the days are getting longer. Our calls of service now, the hotspot is 300 Mystery Lake Road. I've got the figures captured as of the end of May, and it's quite staggering. We've had, for your information, we had 195 calls to 300 Mystery Lake Road since January 1st. So we've seen a huge uptake basically since the snow has melted and the days have gotten longer. And that's not just, that's the physical address, whether it be Safeway, Walmart, the TD Bank on the backside, whatever the case may be. We had 195 responses as of yesterday.
To me, sounds like a migrate to a different location. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Chief, for your report, and I'd also really like to thank you for the advocacy going to the schools, talking to the students, both our CMP and Thompson Fire and Emergency Services. I know it definitely makes an impact, so thank you very much. Next, we're going into develop 6.1 is a memo from the Director of Development and Technical Services in regards of options to purchase Lot 3, Block 1, Plan 43392, Wolf Crescent.
Yes, good evening. We've had past meetings on this. There's a developer that came forward originally back in 2022 regarding this property. They wanted lot 3 and lot 5. The 1 year period on those lapsed. They failed to notify about a renewal. They have now come back with a request and an option of purchase for lot 3 only. So they dropped their bond for lot 5 and are now solely looking at lot 3. They've attached the option document is fully attached there for your review and consideration. Basically, it's the same prices as previous, and asking for council to include this board if that's your desire to move forward for resolution next week.
Thank you. Councilor Longley.
I think the last time we looked at this, because that land is landlocked.
Yeah.
They said that they were gonna discuss with, I think it's the mall or Safeway about access. Did they get that approved?
That's in discussion right now. That would be one of the conditions upon final land sale, yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully they actually get done, but we support this is, I hope they,
That's it. Any other? Another one, Brian?
no, just say, I hope they follow through.
Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor Smith. Yeah, I'll support this recommendation to move it forward. I mean, it's the next step, see where it goes, but I would take this as a first step, and if we can sell it and get the money from them, great. So I'll support it moving forward to council. Thanks.
Yeah, when I read it, I'm definitely in support, and you know, with the access, something being worked out in the agreement that we get, know that it's been done legally. Councilor Wolf.
Thank you, Mayor. If I hear you right, you mean if they didn't come to agreement with the mall, there would be no deal for them, or like?
Well, that's their access, right? The mall, again, nothing's permanent. I have had conversations with the mall ownership, and they are in discussion, and they are happy to work with this developer to provide the access to them. I don't know what the terms of that would be or how it would work out. If they don't get that agreement in place, then essentially this deal will be, so.
I just want a clarification. Did the developer use it as a condition?
No. What I would have to suggest that we would have that as a condition of our show.
So you suggest we should put a condition, if they don't get the access road, we shouldn't sell them the land?
That'll be your consideration, but again, I don't want to go into position down the road where there's nothing on file to allow them to access that property.
I thought there was a condition, what you call a caveat for the road going into from the Scotia Bank. There's a road going to the bank.
There's an access easement.
Yeah, easement,
to
sorry.
that property. but it's not feasible just by the way that that property was developed.
I personally don't like the condition because it's nothing to do with. For us to sell the land, is for us to sell the land. Whether to get access road or not, that is between him and the mall. We shouldn't be involved in that kind of deal. That's my opinion. But anyway, I will support it because the land is sitting there for so long, so it's time to move on. Thank you.
Anthony, just don't.
Yeah, just to note that this is the first step, so it's only the option to the land. They would still have to come back with a development agreement. That would flush out a lot of more of those details for council.
Well, and just to clarify, I've had discussions with them on the timelines, to make sure that they are fully aware of what the timelines are, so we don't have another case where it was didn't realize it was in the year, so that's been right there.
Okay, by show of hands, oh, sorry, Councilor Barker, it's your hand.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I will be in support of this, moving forward to council. I think that it is our responsibility, as a municipality to ensure that development plans, are going to function well in our city and in our neighborhoods. So even though the mall is not our property and that specific lot, that we're looking to sell is connected to that mall property, we still have to ensure that it's going to function and work well in our community. So I am in support of this and I look forward to when the development agreement comes forward, that we look at some of those considerations in terms of what the conditions will be for development. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, by show of hands, who's in support of moving this on? Carried. Seven is recreation, 7.1. A memo from the Director of Recreation and Community Services in regards to TRCC concession lease agreement between 102-00987 Manitoba Limited, Naveed Butt, and the City of Thompson. Sonia?
So the Gold Trail Lodge submitted their intent to terminate the lease agreement, TRCC. They would stay until we were able to get another tenant to go in there. An expression of interest was advertised in the local paper and our social media. We received 2 applications. Both of those applications were reviewed by 4 members of administration. From reviewing the 2, this is the agreement that we're recommending to move forward with. Enter into a 4-year contract. The rent would be $1,300 plus the GST. The concession would stay the same. They would try to add on a couple of traditional food items. The current infrastructure and the equipment that is in the facility right now will remain there. This individual is going to be purchasing the items off of Gold Trail Lodge. They indicated that they will follow the agreement that is currently in place with Harding Beverages and the City of Thompson. The hours of operation will coincide with the requirements of the facility. They would like to take over by July 1st, and the employees, as recommended by council, the employees will be required to have provide criminal and child abuse registry checks. We're recommending that the council would move this forward so the administration can intervention.
Thank you very much. Comments? Councilor Lund?
Yeah, except this going, we don't wanna go into another season, when the TRCC is busy and not have a concession. So we've been there before. They've submitted everything already. We're ready to go on this, so I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Valentina?
Thanks, Mayor Smook. I'll be supporting this also. I think the memo to council should be $1,300 per month plus GST, not $1,300 for the 4-year contract. And the other question I have for the director is, and this was years ago, did we not have like a healthy food policy or whatever that you had to sell so much or a % of had to be considered healthy, or do we still have that, or did we, or I'm just wondering if that's something, if we do have that policy that needs to be put in. Otherwise, I'm supporting this.
Tanya?
Yeah, we do have we have that policy still, and it is in the agreement.
Perfect, thanks.
And I saw a hand up there. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mayor. The other question I have is the food handling certificates, are they required to have that? They should.
I would assume that they would have to have that through public health, so that would be a public health requirement. They would have to have that. That's a license that we would provide them, but and
People shouldn't be. They should need that they have them.
I
But
believe
they're
that
feeding the public.
the public health, it's a public health requirement, plus the food where. And
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Wong.
Just a comment, thank you, madam. I think the date is kind of bad start from July 1st is kind of like dead. I don't know, we can apply those healthy style food because it's pork and chips. The concession, I don't know how we can do that. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor O'Rourke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't really have any questions, I guess just some clarifications, but yeah, they are, I guess, allowed to sell junk food, but they have to have a minimum, there's a minimum requirement, I guess, of healthy food that they're required to have there, so like as long as they have like apples and bananas, that type of thing, right, then they technically are considered selling healthy foods, and many public spaces have that same requirement, like schools have that same requirement, so they have to sell a certain amount of healthy food within their facility, right? So a lot of public facilities, those rules fall under that. Yeah, and then I guess just regarding public health. So I think I just wanted a clarification. So it's not a requirement of our lease agreement for them to have a license through public health is what I'm hearing from Director Wiseman, but in order to operate a restaurant, public health will have to issue them a license before they're allowed to serve food. So just to clarify that.
it is in the agreement that they have to follow by their rules and get permits. From public health.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Councilor Chong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is that our city bylaw that employees are required to provide criminal and child abuse check?
All of the staff at the TRCC have to have criminal records checks and child abuse registry checks because we're working with a lot of youth. When I brought this to council initially, that was a recommendation from council to have those individuals as well and have the same checks because they're working in the state facility or involved with it.
Thank you. Anyone else? I like this agreement, the way it's been tightened up and spells things out. And that, so I definitely can support it. With that, I guess we call for the question, Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Madam. Last question, you say you require food handling for concession?
No, I don't know what public health would require them to have. I know we do not have that in our.
Do they require that?
I don't know if public health would, but it was a requirement from public health, they would have to get it. But our agreement that we have, it doesn't say they have to have it, they just have to comply by the regulations as public health has them set.
I personally, I don't think they need it because they're not cutting raw meat. They're just buying and sell like chips and all that. Unless you're touching with the raw meat, then they need to make sure there's no contamination or cross contamination or selling salad. That's a restaurant requirement. But those I wouldn't believe it because I ran restaurants for a long time. So I just don't want to put that as a red tape, cause a lot of grief for the down the road for that kind of thing.
We don't have that.
Just clarify it one time and that's it. Don't make it too complicated. Thank you.
But I think public health, in order for them to get their certificate, they will have that spelled out. On it, they will.
I don't think we can require, but anyway, just check. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can we, are we in favor to move this on by show of hands? Yes. Next, we're going to legislator. 8.1, the review of the draft resolution letter to support Thompson Regional Immigration Committee Administration. Okay,
Yeah, so the city's in receipt of a letter requesting this, letter of support from city council to set up a immigration program, through Thompson Community Development Corporation. They've also sent along a sample letter, for council's consideration that they drafted themselves, so that was not drafted by this, administration. There's a number of groups that are mentioned in the letter, though I've received calls from some of them that they are not necessarily involved or have been consulted in this by this organization. It's really a discussion for council. Does council want to support this initiative? As there's a number of businesses through the Chamber of Commerce that have said that they would like to see an organized northern immigration program to deal with some of the labor shortages. If council were to do this, I would recommend you have administration draft our own letter rather than use the template that they sent along, so that it's from council's perspective.
okay. Council comments? Mr. Robert?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I have no issues with the I guess the program itself or the pilot program. And then looking to submit an application. I do just have some concerns with the way that the information was presented to council. Just because it makes it appear that there's already a committee formed that consists of certain organizations. And that isn't the case, so I just wanted to clarify that. That's still something that needs to be developed, and those conversations still need to happen. And so that's just a note, I guess, to throw out there, but I think the program itself is something that's needed in Thompson. It's a good idea. When you look at the program information itself, and who's eligible to apply, it does say community economic development corporations. So I see that being why they say that they're a good fit for applying. I think requesting further information from them would be helpful, just to understand if this is a committee that they're hoping to form going forward. I see that they've also listed us, the city of Thompson, but I don't think we're on this committee either, that we've committed to that. So I guess just understanding what exactly they want our role to be in this. If they are actually asking us to be a part of that committee, or if they're only asking us to provide them with a letter of support for their application, would be helpful to understand. If it does come forward next week, maybe we can get some of those clarifications from them before that happens. And then I guess a little bit of understanding just in terms of if you look at the program details and what's expected of your community from the Economic Development Organization, there is quite a lengthy list. So I guess just considering in terms of who the Community Development Corporation currently has on staff and how they are managing to handle that workload. And the reason I ask those questions is because we provide them with their core funding. And so we have certain mandates, I guess, when it comes to economic development. And so I think this is an important part of that. And we do know that we need that we do have problems in our workforce locally. But I guess I just want to ensure that they have the resources and the capacity to fulfill all of these requirements and responsibilities, or are they hoping that that committee is going to help them with some of that workload? Like those would be some of my questions, I guess, that I would want clarified from the organization, just so that we have an understanding of where those resources are coming from. Is there partnerships involved to help with that workload, or is that all going to come out of the CDC? Because they don't, well, we know they only have 1.5 staff at the moment, right? So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Wall?
Thank you, Madam Leader. I have no problem supporting this effort. Just want to clarify what exactly, like Councilor Overdover said, like, are we going to be involved with this process, or we just send a support letter? And I believe this is just a draft. It's just kind of like, it's not a firm wording. So if those make sure that they have talked to all this organization that mentioned in that draft letter and make sure they all agree, otherwise. I don't think this letter will be good for using it, but I see Mayor name, and then I thought you the one who dropped this, I'm like. Anyways,
Yeah, I
So-
did not draft this
okay,
letter.
fair enough, so. The ideology, I mean, I support the idea, but. To get in, we don't want to spend too much time on this because we already have a CDC to look at it. So we just want to get some. What exactly they want to do after this, the second step of moving forward, other than that, I move on, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'll have to set up some further meetings with them because to Councilor Oberdorfer's point, are we simply sitting on a committee? Or is it gonna turn around and ask for financial or other resources? That's not clear, so.
Yeah.
Councilor Lumber?
Yeah. I agree. I think we have to postpone before we take this to the next meeting. We have the questions that are. As Councilor Overgrove suggested and Councilor Wong. There's questions that our city manager's already brought up. We want to clarify whether these organizations are truly involved and want to be. I'd just like to hear more, that there's more solid a solid plan before we say we're behind you and know what we need to input into this. So I'd suggest that we hold off until we hear more at another committee in the whole meeting. I don't think this can be done by next week. Our staff already have a lot to do, so.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Thanks, Mayor Smith. Yeah, my comments are similar to the other councillors. One of my questions would be is, can we get out of it if we want to? I agree with the project that the Canadian government's putting in place for rural communities to get involved in this immigration project. My struggle is similar to who's owning this, because the Chamber of Commerce in Thompson has emails attached from January job openings, which are a bit irrelevant. Then the McDonald's owner, who's already doing a fantastic job in this kind of a program, makes it sound like it's the City of Thompson's application, but then the CDC covering letter sounds like it's the CDC that's doing this. So I find it very confusing on who's owning this pilot project for rural community immigration for Thompson. And I do, when you look at this project through the Canadian government, there are dollars attached. And I think we need to ensure that we know by supporting this or putting the City of Thompson's name to it, that there's going to be a cost associated. If there's more questions asked, I do believe right now that the City of Portage is looking at this project also. So maybe we could reach out to them to see how they're feeling, because everybody seems to be on this deadline of July 2nd for a time crunch to get applications in. So I would need more answers to questions before I would feel comfortable on us moving ahead also. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I would just add that the deadline is July 2nd. And one of the requirements is that they have a letter of support from the municipal leader. There's various organizations that they require letters of support from in order to submit an application. It's not only from municipal leadership, but I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
And we,
Councilor Wong.
thank you. Quick question. Do we need a resolution for just a letter of support for the program, not involve all the whatever they mentioned in there? Can we do that?
Councilor.
The administration can prepare a simple letter of support.
Yeah.
Just in general, that's why I was suggesting you don't use their specific letter.
Yeah.
But if any resources that council in the future would have to come for a resolution to council or be built into budget. So that would be a different time, but if council would like us to just write a letter saying this is what we support, set up meetings. More generic that we support a program, that is something that we could do without committing any
Is it
resources.
okay with that way?
Well, yeah, the letter was written, I think,
Generic, I-
supposedly to make my life easier.
Yeah.
Say all they wanted, but definitely there's questions to be answered and questions to be asked. So
The way I sounded like the consensus we would like to support, but we don't want to be involved further than just at the moment, just.
And I think that's where we start with them and, you know, get a meeting and go from there. Deputy Mayor Valentino?
Thanks, Marissa. Yeah, like, that's what I was saying. I support this project from the Canadian government, but I don't support not knowing who's owning this program for the city of Thompson. And that concerns me. Even if we write a letter of support, I don't want them to take it that the city of Thompson is doing this project. You know what I mean? Like, we would have to be very clear in the letter or have a conversation that we aren't owning it. That's my only concern. I support it, but I'm very leery on how it's worded, that they don't take it that we're the ones doing it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to Councillor Fitzpatrick first because he hasn't had a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm in agreement with Councillor Wong and Councillor or Deputy Mayor. I think we need to write a letter in support, but not actually involve the city participation, but just support the idea.
Councillor Woodruff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for letting me speak one time. I am a little hesitant to say to go ahead with the letter of support. And the only reason I say that is because I know that we provide the funding to the Community Development Corporation and we know how much staff they have. So I just want to have a clear understanding as to where the resources are coming from and if their application is going to have considerations for extra staff or what exactly that looks like. So I am in support. I would like us to write the letter of support. If we can ask those questions before next week so that we can say, yes, we support giving them the letter. I feel like that's our best course of action. I don't want to prevent them from being able to submit the application, but I just want to understand that not all of the resources of that organization are going to go to doing this work, that they're still going to have the ability to do other work around economic development because there's more to be done than just this specific project. So I think it's an important project and we need to figure out how to support it. I just see that there's some questions that we need answered before we say, yes, we support them putting all of their resources in that basket, I guess.
I think we can all agree to that, but we'll ask some questions first. Anthony, got your direction?
Yeah, that's clear direction.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, 8.2, municipal operating grant. Anthony, would you like to speak to that?
Sure, this was just received on Friday. It's a letter from Minister Bushy outlining the city's operating grant. So the first quarterly payment to be made, as well as the adjustments that were being made according to census. So you can see that there has been an overpayment that the province decided based on our census change of $1,644.26. So that would be deducted off what was remitted to us. So essentially, council is getting a $46,000 increase to the municipal operating grant basket for the year. I believe the first payment is coming or should be in very shortly. Haven't received it yet, but it's coming according to the letter. Then the second one is usually made around, I believe, September or October.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, I just want to remind everybody that Nickel Days is coming up this weekend. It's going to be very busy in town. We definitely have commitments for the RCMP and the CSOs that there's going to be extra people on the street. Nickel Days committee themselves has brought security going on there. There will be no big bags allowed into the dance at all, or big purses. And even at the gate, everything will be searched as it's going into the fairground. So please be prepared for that. There'll be a child fine that will be set up if the children are lost and missing. So when you get to the gate, check that out. Have your children know where the child find is. Usually the busiest shift is the one I'm on. I'm never quite sure why, but please have a talk with your kids before they get there. And have Councillor McIver wants to make a comment.
Last comment, I just want to wish the mayor happy birthday. Happy birthday's today, and Lyle was yesterday, but happy birthday today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Get it done or
Councillor.
get it moved?
And I would like to thank for the flowers, all my council colleagues and that. So, thank you. With that, I'll call for adjournment. Councillor McIver, Councillor Fitzpatrick, all in favor? are adjourned. Have a great week.